All right, guys, here we are. It is Entombed Valley, and in the upper right part of it, we have the Hope for Complexity Gaming. All the way from Korea, used to be on TSL. It is Killer. And in the lower left part of the map, in the yellow from the team FXO CIS, winning 2 games already against Ganzi and Nada, it is HappyZerg, a.k.a. Slavic.
Yes, indeed. So FXO Slavic going up against Complexity Killer, and man, he's dispatched of Ganzi, he's dispatched of Nada. Killer now deciding to pick Entombed Valley, and as the map, as we can see here, it does want to put down that forward pylon to begin to forge fast expand.
Yep,
and
makes sense.
Good map to do this on, especially because your third base for a Zerg player is pretty hard to take. I mean, you've got to go through the destructible rocks. You want to close that off the walk distance easily. Otherwise, you have to go all the way around. It makes it a little harder to defend.
Yeah, I think Killer did make a great map choice with Entombed Valley. It becomes difficult for Zerg to stop that third. And if Zerg can't stop Protoss from getting a third base, Protoss is going to be in a really good position. That's kind of really what ZVP sort of revolves around right now. It's Zerg's finding ways to, live, obviously, in the early game, but also deny that third base of Protoss. Protoss wants to do something about that 3 hatchery that the Zerg players like to do often, but also get their own third up, just because you're going to be a lot more comfortable on 3 bases or greater as a Protoss player than 2. There's a pretty big difference.
Well, Killer's going to see his opponent pretty quickly on, and HappyZerg has not scouted quite yet, relying on his Turbo Overlords to make their way across the map.
Yep.
And so we'll see how Killer wants to follow this up. Looks like it is going to be a Nexus first. I mean, that's pretty safe, especially in cross position, so he shouldn't really have any problems doing that.
Yep, kind of waiting for that drone now to go down and try to start out that hatchery. He's going to be ready. Going Nexus first, too.
Yes, he is, and so...
The drone could have probably just built the hatchery. It was like, excuse me. Excuse me. Could I get you to move up? Can I? Excuse... Oh,
can I please?
Oh, come on.
Sad.
It's hard to be a drone. It's a hard life.
It's a hard knock life for them.
Right. It's hard. Indeed.
Well, 6 lanes, a queen coming up at the same time now, so no real surprise. He wants to clear out those pylons. And looks like he's not going to go for the quick third base, just wants to clear this out before anything else.
Yeah, a lot of Protoss players now are just immediately sending their probe to the third, so Zergs can't really even send their drone to build a base at that one. You just kind of have to deal with the pylon. It changes. I mean, originally we saw Zergs start taking that third, then Protoss were like, wait a second, if I just build a pylon to natural, then immediately go to the third, I can just do it again.
Yeah.
And so now Zergs just generally do this. They just take out the pylon and just kind of allow their hatchery to be delayed a little bit.
Yep, certainly not a bad strategy. However, Killer's Nexus is very nearly finished up. There we are. So he's going to have a nice economic advantage at the beginning of this game. Of course, HappyZerg will be able to play catch-up on 3 bases pretty quickly. Probe does go down as well, but knows that this third hatchery was going down no gas, so very early on.
Yeah, so, I mean, HappyZerg is a bit behind right now, but it is very early stages in the game, too, so it's not like he has a huge amount to worry about. The game is still going to obviously go on from here for quite a ways. Now the question is, how will Killer decide to follow this up? This was the guy that was teaching me the 5-gate Nexus cancel in Korea. He's like, this is a great build against Zerg, and that's how he used to play. He used to be one of the best out there with those 2-base timings against Protoss, Zerg, and Terran. He's switched things up a little bit, especially in his PvT. He's become much more of a macro-oriented player.
Yeah.
But against Zergs, he still tends to be a little bit aggressive. So I'm curious to see if he is just going to go for some sort of 2-base all-in, or if he's going to try to play a longer style like has become a bit more popular in ZVP.
This is a really good catch for HappyZerg, as Killer was trying to run another probe in, and it is already spotted, so it's going to be difficult for any sort of forward pylon to get put down. That's not really going to be possible. It's also going to effectively deny quite a bit of scouting out of Killer.
He just wants to see that third, and I think he's going to.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah,
and but, in optimal circumstance, he could have gotten in there, seen the third, and then put down a forward pylon or something along those lines with that same probe.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can also cause him to build more Zerglings, too, if you just kind of start a pylon behind their mineral line or something like that at the third. Just kind of scare him a little bit, because some Protoss players will actually try to cannon you at the third, too. So you can maybe coax a few more larvae to become lings instead of drones by doing something like that and then canceling it too.
Wow, Killer is thinking about taking an incredibly quick third base here.
I guess so.
And, you know, this is a clever way to go about it, though. A lot of times you'll see Protoss players, if they're thinking about going for
he can just walk right in.
Oh, he could, actually. The Photon Cannon's attention is elsewhere. Hasn't turned around yet.
Wow.
Not a single shot of damage has been done to those Zerglings. So once again, HappyZerg is catching a little bit of a break, but he is going to try and take the most advantage of it now.
Yep. He won't really end up killing too much, but he will at least get a good scout. And, oh, is he going to get the Zealot? No, not quite. It doesn't look like.
Wow.
It was close. Nice
well
micro from Killer. Yeah, for sure.
But this is a cool way to go about it, because a lot of times you'll see Protoss players on this map that want to make sure they get the Robo up, or they want to make sure that they have a couple of gates so they can protect that third. But why not just full wall it off? I mean, you keep yourself very safe in the beginning of the game. You can still put on pressure with some gateway units. This is where that forward pylon would have certainly helped. But this is a clever approach. I've actually not seen a Protoss player do this exact version of this 3-base build. So Killer, very impressive.
It's way less common than you would really think it would be, you know? I mean, you'd think this would be something that a lot of Protoss players would do. It's not like they really need to worry about Baneling busts all that much, unless they're playing against July Zerg. So, you know, I don't know. I think it's something that could definitely catch on. And Killer, you know, is another one of those Brood War players too. So he's one of the people that's been kind of innovating right along with everyone else as well. So not surprising to see him do something a little bit newer.
Kind of interesting, as HappyZerg I thought was switching into unit production there for a while, but no, he was just trying to make sure that he wasn't going to die to gateway pressure at the beginning of the game. But as we can see, though, 10 more workers coming up after that. What has he seen out of his opponent? But he knew that third base was already finished, which would, I mean, most likely preclude any sort of additional gateways being added on at that time. So kind of interesting, and I wonder what he plans to do with these Zerglings that are out on the map afterwards.
Well, he just wants to have the opportunity to do some sort of counterattack. He knows that there was a rather large wall at his opponent's natural, rather large hole rather, in his opponent's natural expansion wall, so something he could think of taking advantage of. He's also got it parked in a place, too, where he can see probes that are moving out to build forward pylons and things like that, and that's also going to be something that's going to be quite helpful to him.
Yep, very much so. And so now Killer is on 8 warp gates. He does have his robotics facility finished. He's not decided to construct a robotics bay, though. There are 11 additional workers coming up for HappyZerg, so it's going to be, okay, well, there we go, 76 when all is said and done. And he's adding on a Baneling nest already, so.
Yeah, he definitely likes his Banelings in ZVP, and this has been something that we've been seeing a little bit more often lately. Players going for Zergling, Baneling, a few Roaches just to kind of buffer damage and maybe focus on sentries and things like that, but then also Overlord drops, and there it is immediately. Started for HappyZerg. This is really catching on in ZVP, it seems like, especially in Europe. It's kind of always been there. Damaga loves doing Baneling drops in ZVP, but lately it seems like I've been seeing it a lot more.
This is kind of the ultimate expression of super fast armies, or so it seems, for our... Oh, Observer gets picked off. Very nice job, actually. I'm going to see what Killer has seen. But the ultimate expression of super, super fast maxing for our 2 players now. I mean, as HappyZerg's going to be on 4 base pretty soon, he'll be able to move into massive unit production. He actually had a ton of banked resources before he dropped down 36 Zerglings at the same time. Same thing for Killer to a degree. He's got Robotics Bay coming up, and at the 11.5 minute mark, he's sitting on 3 base economy with what's going to be 77 probes, double robos, multiple upgrades, and 8 warp gates.
That is not bad at all. The big thing I think he's going to need to worry about is Baneling drops in his mineral line. That's going to be something that he may not necessarily be expecting, and this is a pretty good map for it too overall. And we see right now HappyZerg sending in an Overseer. Going to see quite a bit of everything.
I love the +2 attacks as well for the melee units. As the drops come up as well, he'll be able to one-shot workers with Baneling, so they don't have any armor upgrades for now. And, of course, that's not something you commonly get as a Protoss player with this sort of strategy. So, good move there out of HappyZerg. And if he decides to go into those Baneling drops you were talking about, he'll be able to do a ton of damage.
Yep. This was a strategy that a lot of Zerg players like to do on Terminus, actually, back in the day. Baneling drops are pretty good on those. The one thing with I almost said Damaga there. The one thing with HappyZerg is that his tech is a little bit behind here, right? So if this doesn't go too well, it's not going to be very easy for him to go up to investors, mutas, whatever he wants to do. I think I just said investors instead of infestors.
I don't really want any investors in my game either. They're boring people, so.
That's right. They're like, well, you really need to save your minerals. And here come the Baneling drops.
Yeah, we'll see if this is going to be enough. Could get a lot of sentries here, and
does.
but, and he also cleans up a couple of the structures that are up the front, but good force fields from Killer to zone out the rest of the units. One Colossus falls, but I've got to say that was a massive amount of damage that was done to HappyZerg's forces, so that certainly could have been way worse, and Killer actually going to critically supply block his opponent. This is actually not working out that badly for him.
Yeah, HappyZerg made a bit of a mistake there. He didn't overmake Overlords. He only had really enough to have the amount of supply he had, and so when you lose those, suddenly he's kind of stuck a little bit, and this is kind of what I was talking about. He's throwing up both a Spire and an Infestation Pit right now, but you know, is it too late to match what his opponent has? His opponent's already making Colossi. He's way ahead in the tech department.
Yeah, he is.
So HappyZerg definitely in a bit of a risky situation right now, but those Baneling drops might help.
Yeah, waddling Baneling wanted to be part of the action.
It's like, oh,
sorry, I want to go.
Don't worry, you'll get your time. It's going to be fine, man.
You know, if I have to pick an age group for any units, of the ones, Banelings seem like very small toddlers to me.
Really?
Like, I want to go.
That's odd.
Oh, waddle around, roll sometimes.
Little Killer toddlers. Oh man, is Killer gonna see this? It doesn't look like it. Oh, killing a lot of probes at this third base.
Yeah, that was a pretty good amount of economic damage.
That was worth it.
And he's able to go ahead and kill the fourth at the same time. So a well-executed double attack there from HappyZerg, just the thing he needs now. He's banking a ton of resources for the eventual finish of this Spire.
Yep,
there it is, 9 Corruptors coming up, and Hive is on the way, so we will be able to eventually move those into Broodlords.
Yeah, step 1 is to get enough Corruptors to handle those Colossi well, and step 2 is to stay alive until you get your Broodlords out. That's kind of the mode that HappyZerg has entered into now. And Killer, you know, he lost a lot of workers at his third base. He can still chrono boost them out quite quickly. He's still on 69 probes. That's not bad.
That's actually what I was about to say. I was like, okay, he lost 15 of those, but he was on 84 workers a second ago.
Yeah,
so actually,
hurt
at this stage in the game, that's not too bad for him. It was certainly still good for HappyZerg. It was a good use of his resources, though. 6 Colossi are out. He's going over to +3 attacks and +1 armor. He'll need that +1 armor for further Baneling drops, but very soon, HappyZerg, well, is going to be on 6 saturated bases if he wants to.
Question is, does he have enough Zerglings to take out these Stalkers, you know, because he's going to be able to, well, he's going to need to take out those Colossi, but I just have got a feeling this is going to be a bunch of living Stalkers at the end and not a lot of Zerg units, but we'll see. Here come the drops.
All right. Oh, very nice job blinking back so we can pick off more Overlords. Yes, a few of the Colossi go down at the front, but that's a strategy that you can actually use here, effectively using those as buffers because there are so many Corruptors out there and we're going to last for long anyway. And look at this. That's a lot of dead weight now for HappyZerg, and the Zealots are continuing to move in and do damage. So not all that poorly handled by Killer. Kind of an interesting decision, not something that a lot of people would have made, but worked out for him really well in the end.
Yeah, you know, the drops didn't really do that bad, but, you know, in the end, it's just not enough to handle those Stalkers. Those are really the deadly units in this situation. He may be able to push this attack back, but he's definitely hurting a little bit after this one. He spent a lot of resources on that, and he may not even be able to take this down now.
Killer may be playing crossover as well, because usually his Blink Micro is much, much better than that, so may have a little bit of lag problems as well. But anyway, the Spire is going to fall, and that's pretty critical at this stage in the game, because there's not another one up, and so Broodlords are now 200 seconds off at the very least.
Yep. Yeah, this is looking a little bit rough for HappyZerg. He had a good run so far, but I don't think he's going to be able to deal with this army that Nada has.
There it is, GG. So HappyZerg takes out Gonzi and Nada, but falls to Complexity Killer, who takes the first game of the match for Complexity.